So first and foremost, I would like to welcome and thank all of you for taking time out. Today's session is about turning analytics into action to win over competition. And we have with us Vyshak Venugopalan to lead this session. Vyshak Venugopalan is a technical architect and solution consultant at Adobe India. He has over 6 years of in-depth experience on web technologies, and his core areas of expertise are web content management, online analytics, and site optimization. He's also a gold medalist from Anna University. I don't think we can get a better person to talk about this subject. Really want to welcome Vyshak today. Welcome, Vyshak. Regarding today's session, welcome. So regarding today's session, whether you are a web marketer or you're a business analyst or you're a product owner, in today's session you will learn how to leverage digital analytics to identify profitable strategies, to serve customers, to engage audience, and to really produce business results out of your digital marketing initiatives. So for those of you who are joining us for the first time, let me just set the logistics. This session will go on for 1 hour duration, and we will have a presentation for about 30-35 minutes. And rest 25 minutes we'll keep an open Q&A. So while the presentation is going on, if you have any question, you can just type it in the question panel. And after the presentation is over, we'll take all the questions in the chronological order. So without taking any further time, I'd like to hand it over to Vyshak now. Vyshak, over to you.
Thanks, Kapil. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thanks a lot for joining in this particular webinar. And today we are going to look into some techniques, some ideas, some process that I think really makes sense to convert your data or your analytics into actionable analytics, right? So during the course of this particular session, I'm going to walk you through some process. I'm going to share some case studies with you about actionable analytics. And I'm going to show you, I've actually taken 6 use cases, which you must be really familiar with while you're dealing with analytics. And I've kind of shown those 6 use cases. How can those use cases can result in actionable steps, or how actionable analytics can help those use cases. These use cases have been selected from various verticals, including media, including e-commerce, including lead generation activities, including manufacturing, and so on and so forth. So, all right, so let's get started. First things first, I believe in order to actually make the data actionable or make analytics actionable, what you need, the basic ingredients that you need in this particular process is definitely data, because that is what we are making it actionable, right? Followed by people, right? No tool or no technology can leave out people, right? Obviously, we need people who are really action heroes and who can really transform data into insights and then into actions, right? And of course, there's tools and technologies and frameworks which we can leverage, right? Which is a part of this particular process. And finally, enforcing a process so that the organization becomes more data-driven, right? So this has been debated over and over, by analysts and so on and on. So I'll try and focus on these 4 ingredients and show you some examples of how these 4 ingredients comes together and makes or convert data into actionable analytics, rather than being a report robo. That's what I call it, a report robo, right? Who's just, analytics just ends in flushing out the reports, and, no actions have been taken. And we get into a boring, I would say, phase where, analytics just means some reports, which often goes unnoticed. So talking about the first ingredient, which is data, I really like Edward Snowden's statement, right? In God we trust, all others must bring data, right? Because we live in a world where our consumers or our customers have gone digital, right? So it is imperative that we also go digital, isn't it? So the society is actually going through a transformational phase, right? It's not just about going mobile. It's going multi-screen, right? It is not just about just one mobile screen or a tablet screen. It's about car devices. It's about kiosk and stuff like that. So basically, our customers are actually trying to reach us through multiple channels. And we have the same challenge that, how we can reach them as a marketer. We have the same challenge that how we can reach them throughout these particular channels. How can I give a unified communication from my brand to my customers who is interacting with me through different channels? Like, for example, the same guy who receives an email promotion sees a relevant post on Facebook as well, and he sees a phone note for error page on my website that just stops their entire conversation, right? So the customer is expecting ubiquity across the channels that they are interacting with the brand, right? So that's a story from a consumer's point of view. And during every interaction, they're leaving data sets, data points, right? And we are capturing them. The thing that we are not doing is we are not marrying them together to understand the true behavior of the customer across different channels. It could be online as well as offline. Second thing is let's turn tables and let's start thinking from a marketeer's perspective, right? Customers basically see only one brand as the company as one brand, right? But as a marketeer, I may see four screens, right? For example, TV, desktop, tablet, smartphone, right? On top of it, I'm going to apply my channels, which is web, social, email, search, display, applications, and so on, right? And then again, I'm going to slice it saying paid, earned, and owned engagement. And you know what is the fun part of this particular story? No two customer journeys are actually the same. Their interaction points are different, their channels are different, their screens are different. So there is an immense amount of data, an immense amount of opportunity to correlate, to start identifying these behaviors and predict what makes the customer transact, or what makes the customer click on an ad, or what makes the customer come back to my site. And as I said, the first point is data. We have all that particular data with us, right? So and obviously this particular term has been abused for a long time. Everybody talks about it. Everybody talks about big data and stuff like that. But thinking purely from a marketer's perspective, there are many data sources, but I just classify them as online data and offline data, right? And I want to marry these two data together so that I get a clear picture of who that particular individual is, so that I can optimize or I can personalize the content or offer or communication to that particular specific person. So it is really, really important that you get the data. We are collecting data, but you are marrying the data in a fashion that helps you take marketing decisions. For example, you're launching a new product. You want to know what all marketing channels should I spend to get maximum return or to optimize my campaign for this particular newly launched product, right? For this, you need a segment or you need an analytics data which tells you that both offline and online data gets married together and tells you that, what, these are the channels, if you spend money, and this is the split that you should be spending money onto this particular channels, and this will get you the maximum yield. Okay, so I'll actually come down to three key points when we talk about the first ingredients, data. Right? So we all have a lot of data. We have web beacons to actually collect data for web analytics. We have a search engine reports which we get from our search providers. We have CRM data which is actually sitting within my firewall, and so on and on. But in order to take actionable insight, in order to get actionable insights and take actions on the data, you need to keep thinking about three golden rules, in my opinion, right? The first one is, do you know which metrics matter the most? I'm talking about this particular topic because I've seen people tend to forget, the key business objective and the business requirements, right? They either go too analytical or they either go too artistic, right? So at any point of time, you need to actually understand that what is my business objective and what are metrics translate to that particular objective, right? And then you need to know that very well, right? You need to stop and check if the question that I'm asking is going to answer or is going to have a direct impact on these metrics, right? Number two is, once you know the metrics, you should know the knobs, right? You should know the right knob to actually turn so that you know how to move that particular needle, right? It's about, what really moves the key metrics, right? For example, for a media entertainment customer, what sort of content I should write over the weekend to get more new customers from social media. As a product owner in an e-commerce company, I should know what sort of creatives I should launch with a new campaign or a new product category launch, right? So basically, you should know what moves the key metrics, which is in that, right? So key metrics is the first point. Second thing is you should know what moves these particular key metrics. And the third one is this is really sad, right? I'm sure there are social marketeers or people who have dedicated social focus in today's webinar, but they are the most I would say underrated people as well, right? Because of clearly attribution error which we have in the system, right? So a sale, a lead generated, or a news thread or an ad click, uh, there would be definitely assist by social media, but because it was not clearly attributed, they never got any attention, right? So it is about having the data, but looking the data from behind and not dividing the data into buckets and attributing it perfectly across channels. The story really inspires me. The slide that you're seeing on your screen. This is for Discovery Communications, right? So Discovery Communications Director Analytics Alan, right? So he said, hey, you know what? We had 121% boost in the loyal visitor acquisition. You know what makes us think so? Obviously, we spend a lot of money in acquiring customers. But we tried asking this particular question to us, which is, hey, what brings the loyal visitors back to my site? And that's analysis which they did. They said, hey, you know what kind of content the loyal visitors are actually reading? And from where they get the information about that particular content, and how are they keep on coming back to my site, and then obviously they are my evangelists. They are actually sharing my content on social networks, which brings me more traffic, right? So what they did is they kind of analyzed, okay, they definitely have importance of new customer acquisition, but what they did is they did an analytical assumption or a modeling about loyal visitor content consumption ratio, right? And they have figured out, okay, these are the areas upon which the loyal visitors are coming back, and that is giving me a much better return on marketing investment than what I'm actually investing in paid campaigns for new visitors, right? So that is really important that you attribute to the right channels, right? Your social might be the biggest enabler in terms of seeing that particular product, in terms of getting to know about that particular app and so on and on. But that never gets the last click, privilege to complete the transaction. That doesn't mean it doesn't have any value. So attribution is clearly important while you actually consider data. Okay, let's move on to the next big topic, which is process and people, right? So talking about a journey to actionable analytics, I believe these are the key terms which involves the key stages which is involved in getting you there, getting you to the land or land of actionable analytics, right? First three phases or first three stages, I would call it the preparation stage, right? And the remaining stage is the feedback mechanism, which keeps on happening over and over and over. So the first three stages, as you see on the screen, is about aligning, which is basically understanding what to measure. Or in other ways, I need to sit with my product team. I need to sit with my every key business stakeholders in my organization, and I need to understand the key business objectives from them, from the business. And once you identify those particular key business objectives, then you should translate that to what I should measure so that I can answer these key business questions or key business requirement that my business has. This is where mostly if you make a mistake in this particular level, which is align level, that's when your report starts getting boring and nobody looks after it. We call it the stale data villain. The villain here is the stale data, right? You have seen the reports and it never really helped you to take any decision. And after 6 months, yeah, it keeps on coming, but I just don't pay attention to it because it never helped me to take an action, right? So it is really important that you pay attention, that you gather the most important key business requirements in this particular section. Second stuff is measure. I would say it's primarily technical, where we need to tag sites, when we need to use APIs to actually tag mobile applications. We need to set up data feeds to import data from your CRM, from Facebook, from your email service provider, and so on and on. Right? It is an iterative process, which is the measured process. And then third one is definitely reporting. I'm going to talk a lot about reporting, right? So again, this is where people get stuck. This is where currently a lot of people, everybody has analytics, but many of them, not many of them, most of them are at the basic level because they are stuck only at this particular stage, which is the reporting stage, and nothing to blame, right? No, nobody to blame or nothing to blame because they became report ropers, as I call it, by through maybe through different priorities set or maybe conventional process that they follow, lack of training, I don't know, maybe because of many reasons, right? But reporting is really essential, which is basically a push, right? So I have the data set and reports are basically pushed on to stakeholders, whereas analysis is done on a pull basis, right? And after the report, there is definitely analyze phase, and that's a clear separation between the preparation and the action section, right? So the analysis, which is again a ongoing process, helps you to take action. And one of the core actions is definitely keep on optimizing your content, keep on let's say A/B testing or multivariate testing your content, your banners, your landing page, your ad copy, so on and so forth, right? So that is what lays the land of that's what helps you reach the land of actionable analytics. Align, which is identify the key business parameters, measure at the site, get all the data feeds that you need to align this particular data sources, finally report in the preparation section, and then move on to keep on continuous analyzation and action. And this is where a fine line exists, right? Which is reporting versus analysis. Reporting is converting raw data into information, right? It ends at email reports, which often go unnoticed, right? Whereas analysis is combining the data and information to derive an insight out of it, right? That's what is really important. And what we need to enable, I would say our stakeholders in this particular organization is everybody is an analysis user. Not everybody could be a reporting user, but everybody is an analytics user because all of them have not the what questions, but the why, the how questions, right? What question is, what is happening to my unique visitors on my site? These are what questions which doesn't enable you to take actions. The actions are basically the actions are born when you start asking how I'm going to allocate my budgets in various marketing channels for the new promotion which I'm going to launch in for the Republic, or how can I optimize my paid search campaigns to get more return on marketing investments, right? Or why there is a spike in my traffic, and who's responsible for that particular traffic, and what can I do to cause more spikes in my traffic over a period of 3 months, right? These are the questions that you should be asking, and not what is unique visitors, is there an anomaly in my site, what growth rate was in terms of conversion rate, what is the growth rate of average order value. You ask those questions, you're stuck in the reporting loop. And definitely people, right? So Jeff is a senior consultant of analytics, and he has said this. This is the exact challenge as well as the opportunity, right? To basically drive a data-driven culture into the workforce, right? I'm planning for a campaign. I need to be data-driven. I need to actually get my data first to decide upon what campaign I want to run. I need to do a media mix modeling to understand where I should actually allocate my budget to. Or otherwise, the campaign I've started, I should not analyze the campaign after 3 months, saying, 3 months before I launched a campaign, what happened to it? That is absolutely wrong. So in the workflow of every marketer, you need to include or inject the data-driven culture, right? I really like that statement. That's the challenge and that's the opportunity, right? And as Gartner says, it is about making the data more, you need to basically make sure that the data reaches into people's hand in more consumable manner, not like Excel sheets or not like PDF files, which doesn't make sense. It should come up like, for example, in my CRM system, it should pop up about the product out of stock and the kind of sales it has actually got in the last 2 weeks or something of that sort. So you need to actually push it into natural language interfaces and exploring data, right? It should come into my iPad notification and stuff like that. So that's what Gartner had said recently in November when they launched the report on actionable analytics. A very interesting read indeed. Okay, so that was about I talked about the data and 3 points about data, and then people and process, what needs to be changed, not to become a reporting robo, but to actually start asking the why questions and the how questions. And of course, why there is a phase where we are stuck at this is stale data problem. You have seen the data, it is not actioning, and everybody has analytics, and everybody's somehow, or not everybody, most of the people are stuck in that particular loop again. And of course, I talked about the importance of attribution as well. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually walk you through these use cases. These are some of them are real life use cases. I have not used real numbers or client names, but these are 5 use cases which I'm not sure about the time, but I'll try and walk you through these particular 5 use cases. These are actually for different companies, right? Different organizations, manufacturing, media entertainment, retail, education, and so on and on, right? So let's get to these examples, right? Start a question, what needs to be done, and what is the actionable analytics helps you to do, right? First question: how can I optimize our marketing channel? This is like there's a company, right? This is a manufacturing company. They are an automobile manufacturing company, and you are the analytical, web analyst, senior web analyst of that particular company, right? And your company is gearing to launch a brand new, let's say, sports hatchback, right? So, and basically, what the CMO is asking you to do is, hey, you know what? Please determine the optimal marketing channels, digital optimal marketing channels for this particular launch campaign. That's a question that you have on your table. That's Monday morning. You got this particular question, right? How do you basically understand and analyze that, right? This is how you would typically look at it. So, for example, I've actually, the way I would analyze it is, I got a marketing channels report, right? So the marketing channel is basically classified. If you look into the rows, I can see it is classified into sections. For example, natural search, display ad, paid search, social media, email, mobile apps, right? And if I drill down, I can see, for example, under paid search, I can see all the paid search campaigns, which is actually under that particular channel, right? So this is a marketing channel report, right? Here, the key point is not looking at the marketing channels report. The idea of actionable analytics is about the second point, which I talked about in the data, which is adding the right metrics. Till now, or you have seen metrics like visits, model views, which is how many times that model, the car model on the website was actually viewed, right? Product comparison, which is basically, I've compared that particular product. There's a product comparison page and stuff like that. Finally, there's a code section, right? So if you look at it, you're trying to marry the sales process to this particular analytics data. What is the sales process for the car? First is awareness. I need to know, as a customer, I need to know that, okay, there's a new car. Second is, hey, okay, I know there is a new car. Second is, I need to analyze the options of that particular car. Maybe a right indicator for that is product comparison, right? And the third one is the sales process, which is book a test drive, call back, fill in a form, lead gen, and stuff like that, right? This is the sales cycle, and it may be span across, let's say, 6 months, right, for a typical customer. And we keep on looking at these metrics, which is how many visits, how many model views, how many product comparison, and how many quotes I got it, right? The problem is we need to add relative metrics as well to make sensible or actionable decisions here. So here, if you look here, the metrics that I've added, it is more like model conversion, product conversion, and code conversions, right? So I'm actually using calculated metrics. For example, 1 minus model views divided by total visits. That basically gives me a standard deviation of how that particular phenomenon is actually going to keep up for some time, right? So here, very, very interesting insights over here. This is a sample data, by the way. You can see the social media marketing channel is actually giving me more model conversion ratio, which is 8.4 compared to the paid search, right? Or maybe paid search is actually helping me really well in the awareness or consideration section in the buying cycle, right? Social is doing extremely well in the awareness or acquisition section, whereas paid search is doing extremely well in the consideration section. And tight bookmark, direct traffic, they have seen your website many times, they know what that particular page is. That is actually really helping in the code conversion, right? Action is, hey, you know what, pull out all search keywords which I'm doing for the purchase, or pull out dead keywords for purchase sections, which I really want to know about there, right? So this is basically, if you, and the irony here is, if you kept looking only on the model views or only on the conversion numbers, this result is completely wrong, right? So that's what I say. This is the actionable analytics, right? And again, after seeing, I've identified that, okay, for the awareness section, social is actually working extremely well. So I need to break it down. So I'm going to break that report down and say that, okay, that's good, but I'm actually present in multiple social media networks. I want to know which one is actually driving more results for me. So I will break it down. As you can see, I've broken that particular social media channel, and I can see all my social media properties like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Flickr, and I can clearly see that the Twitter model conversion ratios is far better than Facebook, right? And if you look at it, the model views are comparable, around 39% in both Facebook and Twitter, but the conversion is far better on Twitter. So you know what to do on the tweet frequencies, and you know what campaigns to launch on Twitter, right? That's what I call slicing the data, putting different dimensions, which is metrics, on top of it, and then breaking it down to understand the root cause, or to understand which campaigns or which channels are actually going to yield me better results for new visitors, for existing visitors, for loyal customers, and so on. Right? This was a car example. You can apply this to your retail e-commerce scenarios, right? So summarizing the learnings and actions with this particular example, right? So I created calculated metrics which help me calculate that ratios, right? For example, conversion ratios, 1 minus alpha and stuff like that, right? I kept on breaking down to understand the core reason of that particular channel, right? And again, I'm leveraging the appropriate channels from face to face. The action is, yes, I know for acquisition, I need to use this particular channel. That's where some of my money should go in and stuff like that, right? The most important stuff is applying segments as per interest and behavior, right? For example, you can create a user segment saying who are in the consideration section. They have seen your product, and they're considering, they've come 3 times onto the website. So I will combine them as a one segment called, users who are actually considering to actually buy my product. So that is the action that you can take on this particular use case, right? And again, you can do deeper, like you can determine the approximate cost of each channel to identify the lower cost, which is actually providing the most bang for the buck. Because maybe even though paid search is actually doing very well in the consideration phase, social is also just behind it. Maybe the numbers doesn't match in terms of traffic, but the money that I will spend is actually little, so I can actually play around with my percentages. Right? Second use case, which is how can I optimize my paid search campaign? This is like, again, a small time or a garment manufacturer, apparel fashion industry, they are actually, bidding for keywords like school uniforms and stuff like that. They're known for making school uniforms and, curtains and so on and on, right? So the question that they have is, hey, how can I optimize my paid search campaign? I'm spending a lot in acquisition. How can I optimize that, right? So these are the steps that I would perform when I get this particular question, right? So understand there is one question, but that question doesn't mean the intention clearly, right? I really like, I don't exactly remember where I read this. It's again a marketing related joke, which is like, uh, editor walks into a hotel, right? And he orders for soup. Soup comes in, and he asks the waiter, did you taste the soup? Can you please taste it? And the waiter says, is there something wrong with the soup, sir? Uh, Manager again says, please, can you please taste the soup? Then the waiter again asks, is the soup too hot, sir? Then again the manager says, can you please taste the soup, sir? And the waiter again asks, is it too cold? And finally, the waiter agreed that, okay, sir, I'll taste the soup. And suddenly the manager asked the question back, how do you taste the soup? Where's the spoon? So the question, the intention is definitely that I need a spoon to start drinking this particular soup. But the question is not very clear. It might not be his mistake in terms of when it comes to marketing. So here, the question is how can I optimize my paid search campaigns? You should not be limited to that. That's what actionable analytics mean. You should actually look at it from a broader perspective. So what I will do is I'll create an ad group report. Ad groups, right? So let's say I'm only using AdWords, right? And I'm creating an ad groups report. I'm selecting dates because what dates it's going to affect, and following metrics like visits or click-throughs, orders, conversions, and average order value. Let's imagine it's a pure e-commerce site, right? And then I will actually sort the reports by visits to understand the volume. So there is ad group split first. If I was only looking into paid search campaigns, I'll only look into the campaign reports. I didn't look into the campaign reports, I looked into the AdWords reports. And then I will actually, then after that, break it down the AdWord report by search keywords so that I can understand what is performing for me, right? Example is right here. So I'm actually, there is a AdWord group, which is basically school uniforms group, and I'm breaking it down by keywords, as you can see right here. First glance is, hey, you know what? Look at row number 5, 8, and 10. It is very clear that the conversion rates are extremely low. You know why? Because I don't make nursing military school uniforms. As simple as that. Cut them off, right? Second insight is row number 2 and row number 7. Look at the average order value. Even though in row number 7, the visits are actually considerably around half of what I have in row number 2, which is school uniform for girls, still I have a very good average order value. That means, hey, you know what? I need to actually, I can optimize this a lot better compared to the other 4 keywords that I have, right? So I can basically analyze the broad match and phrase match to identify the similar ways that is which one is actually working, right? Revisiting to identify the new exact match opportunities or negative keywords that have surfaced. Or I can drill down this particular report versus loyal visitors and new customers, and then decide on which ad group should I be following for logged in users and stuff like that, right? And then keyword face analysis. That is basically, you can understand from this particular report, where should I expand, right? So I can see, okay, this particular these are the other keywords which my consumers may be interested in, and these are the product lines I should be expanded with, right? So by using targeted ad copy and landing pages and different methods, right? An online retailer in India is actually, they're actually using this particular technique, very interesting technique to optimize their search spend using actionable analytics data like this. But their intention was that, but they actually started to use this eventually for their product expansion strategy as well, thinking, okay, these are the things that users are actually searching, so I should actually launch for Micromax mobile covers as well, right? Things like that. Very insightful. This is a media entertainment customer. I think I'm actually a little short. I'll quickly walk you through. This is a use case of, hey, you know what caused the spike of traffic on my site, right? So we can basically analyze it by page, what page. We can analyze it by events. So I'm actually, the key differentiator over here is I will analyze the page in a comparison fashion. I will compare it between 2 dates. For example, the same date last week, right? So 29th March versus 5th April, right? I will also compare it between segments, saying, hey, there is a spike, I agree, but I want to see the spike is mostly from new users or return visitors, right? So it is about comparison, right? And then, of course, once I get to see this, I can see there's an iPad accessories page where there is 1,500% change, right? Then I would go and say, show me the referral report. Show me the referrals who are actually driving traffic to my site, right? So in the referral report, I'm actually not sorting it by change, because if this content was not existent before in last week, obviously you can't divide by 0, right? So you can actually see the referrer, the top referrer, which didn't exist in 29th March, but there's a new referrer out there called Techno Bazalo, and that's actually giving me so many instances, right? So you can basically understand, then break it down by, hey, who is this particular referrer? What is his Twitter handle? And what are the Twitter domains who's actually serving traffic to me? And then you can understand, you can create a segment of new users who have come through this particular referrer, and then draw the path of what paths did they take in the site after reading this particular content, so that you get to know what is the tactic of writing content on my site, so that I can attract new visitors and they actually stick on to it. They keep coming back for more, right? So that's the strategy. So this is a very, I've worked with this particular client. This is again a media entertainment client. What they did is very interesting. These are simple examples, right? Just giving you examples of actionable analytics. What they did is they create daily and weekly movers and shakers report, right? To actually capture the significant changes in traffic levels to different pages or site sections. And basically that identified who is referring, and they are starting to use their mileage. Like, okay, there is somebody who is writing a blog, and that draw a lot of traffic to my site. I'm going to retweet his tweets whenever I find it appropriate, so that I get more traffic again and again, right? Or more Twitter follows again and again. And again, I'm actually creating the segments of visitors from this particular spike or from this particular site section, understand what they want, and then creating the content that they want means more bang bang for the buck, and more return on investment, which I'm actually doing on analytics. Right? Okay, talking about that, that's a huge topic which comes up when we talk about return on analysis, return on investment on analytics, right? So Nucleus Research, I think last August, they actually published a research on the business value of analytics and the price for it, right? So they have identified, I think they did the research, and they actually, I think they surveyed around 100 companies about the value of analytics. One key findings which I remember offhand is that every single dollar that you spend on analytics, the return that you get is $10.66, right? Very interesting report. It talks about, why return on analytics investment needs also to be attributed to analytics in many ways. Okay, we'll talk about that. This is an example of attrition points in my site. Where is attrition occurring in current conversion process? And this report that I'm showing you is a fallout report, right? So there is pages report, page flow report, which is from one page to another page. How did the flow happen? And this is fallout report. Fallout is primarily focused on business, because I know in my site, this is a photo printing site, right? Where I can actually upload my photo, and I can customize the photo and print it on mugs, on T-shirts, on wherever you want it, right? So basically, I have a visit, I have a customization flow, or a zoom in tool for an e-commerce, or a product view tool for a listing company, or a course curriculum view page for education. You can imagine, right? And then there is checkout, shopping, shipping, and review order confirmation and stuff like that, right? So first key thing here is select the right pages for your fallout analysis. That means it will show you how that flow has happened on your site. Doesn't really matter even after the first step user has gone to step XYZ and come back to number 2, still he is counted because he's back into that particular flow, right? Very, very powerful, right? But there is no point in looking onto this particular one, because I can only see that step number 4 at shipping and billing, 59% continued and 41% lost. Obviously, that is a typical user behavior. Whenever there's a credit card information being asked for the customer, there is a possibility that they'll actually skip the site. We'll actually lose that, right? But again, I can go there and say, show me all the other pages where they have gone after this particular step. If not exit, where other they have actually gone, and then create a segment and analyze against them. But what is really interesting is in such scenarios, you are understanding the attribution. You're understanding the attrition. Attrition occurring at various conversion process stages, right? So a trended graph would be really helpful. For example, this is a trended graph of attrition, right? This is plotted against obviously time and percentage of visits lost between pages, right? And of course, there are different pages on the graph plots, right? Good thing that I can see here is between June and July, there is a decrease in the percentage visit loss between pages compared to all visits, right? But at the same time is when from a customization tool to the visit page, there is an increase as well. So I can actually go back and ask the product team, what exactly happened in June to July? Okay, there was a product update, or there was a new UI which we actually launched, right? Then I can go and say that, okay, fine. Why don't you actually drill it down by showing the region and the technology, the browsers? And I see that, okay, fine, Opera browser is 15% out of it, and Opera browser was actually not supported for that particular page, or something of that sort. I'm just giving you some examples, right? So trended line can definitely set you thinking and make actionable results, right? So some of the actions from that particular reports were monetize the impact of process that you're actually having by creating a new product. I have 10 features on my site. Have you ever measured the impact of those particular features? How many of them added a product into the cart after clicking the zoom in button? Have you ever analyzed it? No. That's what is actionable analytics is all about, right? Again, you're actually, once you know the attrition, you need to keep on testing and understand what's works best, right? Testing you started, there is no end to it. You have to keep on doing it. That is optimization, much broader topic. We'll talk about that maybe in a separate webinar, right? Okay, one last thing, but I'll skip this one. In the interest of time. Okay, so all these use cases, I showed you the screenshots. we're part of Adobe Analytics, which is the industry-leading analytics solution, as you may know, rated by Gartner and Forrester year over year. And we have numerous amount of case studies where analytics have made money by showing the insight or showing the action that the marketeers can take onto the site, right? So that's what is the key differentiator, or the key thinking, way of thinking that we have. It is not about reporting; it's about getting actionable insights and making our customers money, right? And of course, Adobe Analytics is part of our Adobe Marketing Cloud, which has 6 solutions, which is basically a complete tool set for marketeers, including an optimization solution and maybe testing solution, media optimizer solution, which will optimize your spend across search, social, and display. Experience Manager is a content management system, and Adobe Campaign, and all 6 of them are truly integrated using a platform, right? Parting thoughts is definitely, yeah, I talked about actionable analytics. I talked about why data is boring sometime and why you should not be a report robots and stuff like that. But again, don't get so heavy on the left side of the brain that you actually forget the right side. Right? So still, there is, for the right kind of messaging, impactful presentation, impactful creatives definitely have a lot of impact. So yes, actionable analytics doesn't mean that you can actually drive the entire organization through analytics with great insights, but definitely it's a perfect combination of left and right brain to actually get the maximum yield. And with that, thanks a lot for listening to me. I'll actually pause here for questions. Thank you so much. I'll switch back to the questions.
Great. Thanks, Vyshak, for an insightful session. So before I actually open it for everyone for questions now, I have a couple of questions from you. And I'll start with something very, very specific. And this is something I've been hearing from a lot of people in digital marketing industry. As you know, in digital marketing space, when it comes to analytics, most of the people use Google Analytics. And one of the major challenges that in recent times, it has become very difficult to do the keyword analysis, since the whole keyword is no more track. So you have any specific guideline or tips on, or some alternative on, something that was very insightful for marketer and now that is not available? Everybody understand the reason, but is there some way, something can be done about it? Yeah, you're muted
Great
right now,
question,
I think.
Kapil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got it. So great question. Thanks for that particular question. I know the pain that we all go through with that specific keyword. We're not getting the keyword so that we can actually attribute it, right? Absolutely right. Especially for organic traffic and non-paid traffic and stuff like that. It really hampers us. Okay, here are some thoughts on that particular topic, right? First one. Can we do anything about it to fix it? Sadly, the answer is no, and we know that. Second thing, how we can solve the problem here. The problem here is, how can I attribute to my organic? How my SEO team is going to actually get feedback from, right? So for that particular problem, yeah, there are some solutions. Right? For example, I'll give you some 3 options or areas to actually start thinking about. Right? The first one is, hey, you know what? It just started now. We have a lot of data which is actually sitting with our making, right? So one suggestion that we have given to one of our large customers with keyword analysis is that, hey, you know what? You can create a successful model which will not give you numbers, but which will give you trend lines. Right, so you can create a models. We can actually use. I've seen Excel models being deployed for keyword analysis and the traffic analysis, which basically combines the product category with the keyword. Frankly, I don't have any experience of this particular technique with other verticals other than e-commerce. I've seen it with an e-commerce company doing this. So this is basically a statistical modeling by which, using the previous amount of data and the site affinity, they are basically trying and matching to understand on what should be the site content to increase their ranking on the site, right? Second way of tracking this particular issue of not getting the keyword is not exactly issue, but that's how it's going to be, right? Is basically try and gather. I know in India, other site traffic is actually relatively minimal, but still trying and gathering some data from other search providers to try and match it the behavior to back to Google, right? The third one is purely an anomaly detection model by which basically there is a training period by which we train the system, and then you can actually carve out the anomalies in keywords. I will not tell you what is the impact, but it will actually tell you the traffic pattern, the user pattern anomalies which exist in your system, right? It is a, I mean, we can discuss about this for like for hours, because different organizations would have different challenges, like I don't have the past data, or I don't know what anomaly detection techniques are. But yeah, great topic to think about, and we can get into the details after understanding what we currently have and know where we are exactly in terms of data collection process and stuff.
Great. I think that was very insightful. Another question I have is, you mentioned that as a user, they see a brand, right? But as a marketers, we have various devices, and within various devices, there are various mediums to reach out to them. That creates a whole 2D matrix of the user interaction points. Now, when you're running multiple campaigns across different mediums, across like paid, organic, viral, then the biggest challenge comes up in attribution, right? Because all the campaigns are going on in parallel, and what are the, do we have some guidelines, some tips on how to really set an appropriate process to take care of the attribution related issues?
Fantastic question. Thanks. I'm glad that you asked that particular question, right? So it is very, very. I just want to share a story also with in regards to this particular question. Right? There's a lot of buzz going around in the industry. This is just to set some context right as well. A lot of buzz going around in the industry talking about two major things, which I'm sure everybody in this particular webinar have heard about, which is real-time analytics and big data analytics and so on and on. This is very interesting. So how does, okay, there is a metric called how many users are there on your site currently, right? And there is a dashboard, there is a very nice looking 45-inch television in which this particular thing is projected, saying these many users currently on your website, and that is real-time analytics. If you ask me, that metric doesn't have any value. What you should be projecting there on that particular screen is your marketing media mix, right? So that is what is the answer to your question, that is attribution. A very important problem. How are we going to tackle it? How are we going to give attributions to specific models as you would like to see it, right? This problem is twofold, right? The first one is attributing to the right channel, and the second one is, which is more fundamental, that is attributing to a single user. Thinking about the fact that nowadays users have, I was just reading another report which is 58% of the email open rates happens on the mobile, but the conversion rates are very low. You know why? Because they see the mobile, they see the email on the mobile, but they actually go back to home and take their PC and then try and go to the site and complete that particular transaction, right? So but it's the same user. But for us, he's a different guy because he's coming from a completely different IP, from a different device, from a different browser. Unless and until he does a identifiable action, right? You need to stitch that, right? So the first way of solving attribution is how our customers are behaving. So that is visitor stitching. You should have a mechanism either in the data processing or at the data collection level so that you can stitch the visitors who's coming from the home PC to my work PC to my tablet to my mobile, right? You need to start thinking about that particular thing and thinking about where we are going to be in next another 6 months. Second thing is pure attributions, right? Which is marketing channel media mix, which means apart from first click and last click, right, which is typically the attribution models are available out of the box, you need to have more attribution modeling applied to these particular channels, right? These could be assist based. These could be time decade models, right? So if you ask me for an attribution model analytics, I would have a report something like which looks like this. I have my channels, that is, as you rightly said, paid, organic, and viral, which is actually are the rows over here. And I have multiple columns. The first column is first click attribution of a particular metric, which could be revenue. Last click attribution to a particular metric, which could be revenue again. assist-based attribution for revenue and time-decayed model for revenue, right? And if you look at it, that's when you will be able to attribute to social, especially assist. It's Forrester release saying that, you know what, always looking to assist-based attribution for social to really understand the value of it, right? So yes, attribution models are really, really important. You should start spending time on it. Stop thinking, at least stop looking only at the last click attribution models, which you might be doing all this time. At least start adding a first click attribution metrics as well, and assist based attribution for it. For all these things, what you need a unified analytics, and we can talk about the tools and technology in a later thing. I'm talking you through the ideas and the importance of that particular concept.
Great, thanks a lot. So I'm taking up some more questions now. Guys, simultaneously, I'm just launching this question on your screen. If you would like to know more about Adobe Analytics, you can just mention yes over here. We'll forward your contact details to Adobe India team and they will contact you further and provide you further information. So taking a few questions from the audience, there's a question from Amit. He's saying, what is an optimal period to track and take this decision and analyze the data metrics? Is there some optimal period for it?
Good question. So it varies from time to time, right? So when I'm actually looking at a channel report for my paid search campaign, my optimal period is whenever I start the campaign when that's going to end, right? For metrics which are clearly fluctuating, for example, metrics like reports where in the metrics like average order value, page number, visits, conversion ratios, and stuff like that, I advise you to actually have a comparison of a 30, 60, 90 window frame, right? That's 30-day learning period, 60-day learning period, 90-day learning period, so that you get a great sense of it, right? So for rapidly changing metrics, this is what I've seen. Again, it completely depends on what you really want to do. The optimal period for rapidly changed metrics is what I've seen is 30 to 60 to 90 is a good range where you can actually compare these these metrics across these days.
Got it. Another question is asked by Vikas. Vikas wants to know, does Adobe Analytics solution offers IP details of traffic driven to the website?
Yeah, so IP details, yes, of course, we have IP, but we should, I mean, again, there are many country policies, as you're aware, about the data security and PII, personally identifiable information and stuff like that. So I want to ask a question back, which is, what do you intend to do with this particular IP, right? What Adobe Analytics have is, we have partnered with the world's greatest IP to location mapping, so you can actually know the location, the geolocation of that particular IP. The second thing is definitely the domain mapping, right? Which means I can know which company, which ISP this particular IP actually comes from, right? So we have many customers, especially in the B2B scenario, who actually use this referral reports to understand what all companies they get the traffic from.
Great. Okay, guys, I'm actually launching the second poll, which is, if you're interested in taking a formal course in digital marketing, we do that at Digital Vidya. We have it on web analytics also. Just mention yes over here. If you're already participating, just mention already participating. So another question is asked by Surbhi Bansal. Surbhi wants to know, could you please share a few insights on how analytics is being leveraged by BFS vertical today in India?
Involved in detail understanding but out of the box standards, it is. Yeah, we have BFSI companies in India who are global and who has a so.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was saying BFSI companies, something happened. Can you see my screen still, or should I start scaling?
No, the screen is right now not
visible.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So sorry about that. So I was saying, yeah, BFSI companies are there in India who's actually using our solution. Yes, I can't. We have published case studies as well. You can reach out to us. We can actually give you those case studies. Publicly referenceable BFSI customers in India are actually global. For example, large customers like Citigroup and RBS and so on.
Great. So definitely, Suri, if you have mentioned yes, Adobe India team would in any case contact you, and you can actually ask for the specific case studies in BFS segment. So another question is asked by Pawan. He wants to know how do we collect key metrics and basically identify them basically. So I think initially you talked about first be clear on the objectives and then take a look at all the metrics. Is there some specific way, some specific process on how to really do that mapping of objective with metrics?
Great question. Yeah, great question. Very, very interesting question. I talked about the importance that you should identify the key metrics, and then I said, okay, I didn't talk about how do we collect it, right? So we should collect it. So the way I look at it is like this. Everything boils down to business requirements and your key business priorities, right? Requirements. So you are saying that I want to attribute my spend across channels uh, for whatever period of time that is in there, and I want to use 3 or 4 attribution methods. Right? Let's say that is your business requirements. So in this case, I understand that, hey, you know what? There are 4 parameters, 4 business parameters, or 4 metrics which I need to track, and there are another 4 which are calculated, which will help you to make that insightful decision, which will improve your business, right? So the 4 ones, let's assume those are the product cost. This is obviously there on your web page. Second thing is product category. I'm talking about an e-commerce example. Third one is the profit that I have from that particular product. Fourth one is order stocks left in my warehouse, right? Out of this 4, the number two, which is the product category and the product price and product description, everything is displayed on my web page. I can capture that using custom variables. The remaining 2, which is the profit information, which is internal to your organization, your warehouse information, which is sitting in some other system, needs to be pumped in back to the analytics solution, which is either in cloud or in premise, as a data feed. So that when you look at the report, which is your key business question, that is, I want to see the product performance, stocks left, and the profit that I'm making, right? So you will see these metrics despite of the fact that 2 of them are coming from online world and 2 of them are actually coming from offline world. So there are multiple ways of capturing these metrics. If these are offline metrics, you can set up data feeds to the analytics warehouse. If these are online metrics, you can actually use up to 200 custom variables and events and tracking codes to capture those particular variables. So implementation is very important. Remember, the measured section in the stage was really lengthy because it keeps on evolving and based on what all parameters that needs to be captured. There are other ways of capturing these metrics as well using classification. For example, over a period of time, I'm sure you have seen this particular issue already. There are too many unknowns and there are too many nulls and there are too many none in your reports. It starts appearing. And there are too many garbled characters, E equal to 1 for, and all your UCC IDs will start appearing in your analytics report. So what you can do is you can apply classifications to this particular data, saying that, okay, fine, all this particular code which starts with you is actually a Google page campaign and stuff like that. Right? So these are the ways of collecting these key metrics in your analytics solution.
Great. So, guys, it's about to be 4. I'll take up last 3 questions. I think we'll have to extend it by about 5 to 7 minutes. The questions are from Ruchika, Savan, and Sunil. I would request all of you to stay back for about another 5 minutes before we get an answer to these questions. So one question is asked by Ruchika. She wants to know how to marry the offline and online data in case of different basis and different demogs.
I missed the last part. In case of different
basis and different demogs, I think different demographics.
Okay.
Is possibly what she meant.
Okay, I think I got that question. So, how to marry the offline and online data? Good question, right? So, what we believe in is, this is yes, you need to analyze these particular data. And you are primarily a marketer. Of course, you need support from IT. and you don't want to become Google, or you don't want to actually set up a data mill within your organization which keeps on churning this particular data and then gives you BI reports and stuff like that. What you want is, if you call me, is big data for marketeer, right? And big data for marketeers starts with online data, right? That is why the online data collected platform, which is getting all your JavaScript beacons.
Okay. Okay, great. So another question is asked by Savan. He wants to know, the heat map analysis which ClickTail analysis tool provides is very helpful.
So that and I log in to your system during a transaction.
Venu, we were not able to hear you. We were not able to hear you for last 2 minutes. So if you could just repeat, that'll be great.
Okay. Sorry.
Guys, it looks like we have lost Venu. Venu, you're not audible. Okay, looks like we have lost Venu. So Savan and Sunil and Ruchika, what I'll do is that I'll forward your questions to Venugopalan, and I'll ensure that he'll respond back to you personally. So, because I mean, your question was more to do with about Adobe Analytics, and I'll not be able to answer that. I'm not the right guy for that. So, but I'll definitely forward your questions. Also, the recording of this session will be available, and we will be mailing you the details very soon. And we'll also do a blog post, and possibly we'll try to arrange the PDF of the presentation and hand it over to all of you. So at this point of time, really, really want to thank all of you for your participation. I hope you found it valuable, and I would look forward to seeing you more often in our webinars. Looks like you're getting Venu. Vyshak, are you there?
Can you see me now? Yeah.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Got it. Great. So yes, you can.
We can
really
sorry about that.
3-4 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, small.
That's okay.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. There's a technical glitch. Okay, I'm back. So I was talking about this example, right? So I'm coming to the website for the first guy. I get the ID VID1, and I log into the system. I do a transaction. I get the ID vyshakvenugopalan.com, right? So that's my unique identifier, which is back in there in the CRM, which can act as the single marrying factor for that particular online behavior and offline behavior, right? That is one way of doing it. Second way of doing is this matching patterns of identifying the same users, right? So typically the offline and online data is actually married together using a common identifier. If you don't have a common identifier, you can take multiple common identifier which will help us to actually kind of arrive at a statistical modeling and map user requests together, right? So that's the way of mapping these two data together. I was talking about there is a cloud which collects your online data. You can push your offline data from your CRM and all as a data feed or as an FTP file and stuff like that back to our data warehouse, so that when you look into the reports, you see both online and offline metrics together, right? And demographics, there was some information or questions about demographics. You can actually get demographics data either from your, let's say, POS, point of sale system. You're a brick and wall mortar retail customer. You can actually get your POS system demographics data, or you can really use, if your website uses Facebook Connect and stuff like that. We have out of the box free connectors with Facebook demographics, so you can analyze that what Facebook demographics likes, what kind of products are giving me more orders and stuff like that.
Got it. Great. I hope, Ruchika, you've got your answer. So I'll take up the next question. It is from Savan. It's in 2 component. First is that he wants to know, he's seems to be a fan of heat map analysis, which is actually done by ClickTail analytics tool. So does Adobe have a similar feature in any of their tools? Plus, if you can mention some plus points of Adobe Analytics compared to the other analytics that are available in the market, that'll be also helpful.
Sure, definitely. So heat map, I get this question every time, and I love this question. Heat maps. I'm really interested in heat maps. I want to understand the areas and how do I optimize and stuff like that. Very interesting stuff, right? So I look at it from a different perspective, which is a different topic for me, which is actually site optimization, right? So we Adobe, as I said, now we have a complete set of tool set for marketers. So when it comes to site optimization, we have really cool techniques and technologies to identify what area to place, how much what you will get the lift when you place certain sections on certain areas and stuff like that. We use really good predictive stuff to actually get there, right? So to answer your question shortly, with analytics, there is a click map feature which we have, which basically shows you. For example, if you take up your site, you can overlay the click map on top of it, and we can see. Okay, in the navigation bar, the products navigation bar has got 10,000 clicks, but out of the 10,000 clicks, only 300 clicks converted into a order, right? So stuff like that. So you can see click maps with Adobe Analytics, which is a out of the box feature, which is part of analytics. But if you're looking for real complex heat map and high mapping and content mapping and stuff like that, you need to look into optimization solutions, right? To answer your second part, what is so special about Adobe Analytics, right? So I will take say 5 points, right? First one is real time, right? And real time and real data, no sampling whatsoever. That's the first thing. You get to see your data within a minute slack, right? So it is real time data and no sampling whatsoever, right? Second thing is it is not just online data. You can pump in your offline data to it. You can download entire data back to your data warehouse or BI too, right? We don't trade it for your data. We charge for the tool, but we don't actually sell your data or use your data, right? That's the second difference, right? Third difference is, as I said, I already covered it, but it is about combining the ability to combine both offline and online data. I would add something on top of it, which is things like ad hoc analysis that we have, right? Ad hoc analysis is I mean, like the Chinese proverb, a picture is worth 1,000 words, whereas a 3D graphics animated visualization is worth of millions of dollars in analytical work, right? So we have really cool ad hoc analysis tool which you should see the kind of interfaces it presents to the boardroom and stuff like that, right? So that's a clear differentiation. Not just ad hoc analysis, we have a report builder. Say that, hey, you know what? I'm an Excel guy. I don't know anything about analytics, but I am a data scientist. You don't need to know anything about analytics. You can still be an Excel user using our Excel plugin, which can directly pull the data from the cloud, and you can be an Excel user forever if you want to, right? The fourth thing is, as I rightly said, it's about the consulting that you get with the tool. It is not about the technology. It was not about the technology any day. It is not about the tool any day. It's about understanding your requirements, using your platform, and translating that to business results, right? So it is unlike, hey, here is the help file, here is the implementation document. Go ahead and implement yourself, and these are the 50 types of reports available. Rather than that, the process is something like this. We have experienced consultants who understand what is your business needs. All right, your similar customers have been seeing results with these kinds of reports. We like to take a look at them, and that's how the implementation goes. So that's the fourth difference. Final one, it is not just about analytics. It is about whatever you're doing in the other spaces, whatever you're doing in testing, whatever you're doing in search, whatever you're doing in content creation. The place to actually refer what is happening to those activities is analytics. So Adobe Analytics being part of Adobe Marketing Cloud and is by default integrated with all the other tools makes it really differentiator. For example, you want to launch a recommendation on your site. Typical recommendation products takes a year to learn what to recommend. Here, if you have analytics data for a year, you can actually say, I want optimization, click a tick check mark, and recommendations already up and running on your site. So that's the 5 key differences of Adobe Analytics, if I can quickly summarize.
Great. I think your passion for the product is very evident. So we'll take the last question now before we close it for the day. Last question is by Sunil. He wants to know, you mentioned about Adobe Experience Manager. How does that work in B2B scenario, and what do you measure?
Good question. So Adobe Experience Manager, for those who doesn't know what that does, a single line description. Adobe Experience Manager basically is a content management system on steroids, right? So it does not manage only content, but it manages multiple experiences the user will have with your brand, right? Your mobile experience, your responsive design experience, your app experience, your website experience, your newsletter experience, and so on and on, right? The sweet spot of Adobe Experience Manager is that whenever you build a site or a digital property in Adobe Experience Manager, it is by default integrated with Adobe Analytics. Right? That means analytics implementation is basically a cross, which is inherent. Right? We have a lot of B2B customers who use Adobe Experience Manager because of three key reasons. First one is ability to update content very, very easily. You are a marketeer, you are not a JSP or an ASP.NET guy. You want to see the site as it happens and go and edit that site if something needs to be changed. Right? That's the first part. You can change the sites the way you want it. Second is we are channel agnostic. You add a content, it is our job, it is the techie's job to actually make sure that it is available on iPhones and iPads from second generation to the retina display and so on. Right? So that is ubiquity of content. Fourth one is ability to manage the content, especially in a B2B scenario, how you can personalize the content for different regions, how you can actually translate your content into different languages, and so on and on, right? So these are three reasons. Primarily, B2B companies, MNCs actually use Adobe Experience Manager. As I already said, you can contact me for more reasons. We can share with you specific case studies and answer you specifically if you have any more specific questions on Experience Manager.
Great. So thanks a lot, Menu. I think we've already exceeded 12 minutes. So thanks everyone for your participation. All of those of you who stayed long. Thank you very much. And I think it was a very, very interesting session for all of us. And we look forward to having you with us sometime later in our sessions as well. Thank you. The session is closed.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.